this part I will show you how to post-process this image. I've already loaded all my layers into Stack. So first of all, let's use raw lighting layer. And let's choose soft light blending mode and change it to 50%. This will give our image a little bit more depth. As you can see, the shadows are much more enhanced. We can also use sky layer with blending mode soft light to change it a little bit more. I'm only using 10% opacity. Now we can enhance specular by using screen. And also let's do the same with reflections, but reduce opacity. Okay. Now it's time to give our image a little bit more contrast, because it's still washed out. Especially the dark colors should be a little bit darker. So let's add curves, move this a little bit down to give image contrast, and this will make image a little bit brighter. We can also add levels, and once again let's make black colors a little bit darker. Next step, we will adjust levels, but only on the floor. I will use my object ID layer, but I have to desaturate it and make it only black and white. Now let's copy whole layer and add levels, and let's paste this mask to levels. Now I will be only adjusting levels on our floor. So once again, let's give it a little bit more contrast. I think now it looks a little bit better, especially the shadows are much better looking. Next, let's use our kitchen lights layer and use screen blending mode. I think it looks okay, and we don't have to change anything about this layer. Now we can add some chromatic aberrations. We have to choose our RGB color layer and go to lens corrections. As always, it's better not to overdo it, so it has to be a very subtle effect. Okay, and the next step is vignette. So once again, I like to create it on a separate layer and then use multiply blending mode. Like so. correct it using levels and decrease opacity a little bit. This effect, in my opinion, also should be very subtle. We can also add a bloom effect, so let's duplicate our layers and collapse them, Ctrl E, and now I will use levels to separate white and bright spots from the darker areas, desaturate whole image and add Gaussian blur. Let's use levels once more and now change blending mode to screen. And let's select opacity something like 20%. This also should be a very subtle effect, because otherwise it will look very artificial. We are almost ready with our post-processing, but I want to add one last thing. I want to add another curves, but this time I want to achieve something like vintage look. This processing is sometimes called cross-processing, and it includes changing curves on the separate color channels. Let's start with the blue channel first. So first let's create a point on our curve, and I will move it a little bit downwards. As you can see, by moving it downwards, I'm reducing blue color from the midtones. By moving it up, it will add blue color in the midtones. So I want to give this image something like warm coffee look. By moving this point upwards, I'm adding blue color into shadows. Okay, let's move to red channel now. Let's move this a little bit downwards. And now let's go to green channel. As you can see, we have a little bit too much green color in the darker areas, so I will reduce this. Okay, I think our post-processing is ready at this moment. I like this effect, and only thing I think that needs correction, it's a little bit overburnt area here. So we have to go back to curves and levels and reduce this overburnt area. think we have to also reduce a little bit bloom effect in this area, so we can always create a mask. And reduce bloom by using black color. In the end, we can collapse all of the layers and use a little bit of sharpen by unsharp mask. Okay, so our post-processing is ready.